Hi everyone, hope you guys are doing great. Today we will be resuming our eShop web application, which we are creating using ASP.NET MVC Core, and we have developed a database context. We have set up the EF core things. We have set up the services and the controller, and we have set up a view as well. In our last video, we have set up the view, but we haven't styled it in a very professional manner. So today we'll be working on the styling. So without further ado, let's proceed. I'll be quickly showcasing you where we were. This was something which we are going to achieve today. And if I can quickly show you in our app where we were. So if let me run that, it's going to bring the web app. Just wait for a while. So you can see this was we were having some styling issues over here, and certain other things need to be modified. Before proceeding further, for those who have joined me for the first time, there are like 4 parts which I've already created, so you can find those on my channel. And I do have a report, so if you want to see like previous code or what I've pushed, so you can see over here. One thing for the ease of you guys, I've done like you can go to any specific commit, because for our last video I have pushed a commit over here. You can go to that respective commit. You will find the specific video URL here as well, which will help you get to know each and every detail. And you go to the browse files and just download that specific code. So this way you can get the working copy from where I'm going to start today. So this is one way of doing that. So hopefully this will help. And the second thing, this is the eShop web app, which we are replicating, having the ebook as well and the actual code. So without further ado, let's move forward and let's go to our project. Let me just close the rest of the tabs, close all tabs. So one thing you might have noticed in last video that we haven't included or created any CSS files as of yet. And what else we need to do? We haven't modified our layout, the main shared layout CSS HTML. So one thing which we are going to do today is to modify this layout file, and then we'll be further proceeding to modify or add the HTML. So let's just, one thing which I'm going to do, let me just put it there rather than removing, or let me do one thing. Let's just remove it and add a new one. So I'm just cutting it from here. And for the time being, I'm going to place it inside a Word document. So this is just for reference only. So in case if something went wrong, so we might refer back to it. I'm going to type in certain things one by one, so we can quickly discuss what's the reason for that. Doc type. If I talk about the layout.cshtml CSHTML file, this is basically the main layout. You can think of it as a master layout, which do have all the details, and inside which basically the views are going to get rendered. So think of as this is the root document or root HTML file, which is going to be used. So I'm going to use the same doc type. And what does it states? That we are going to use an HTML file. So you can see by adding the doc type, we get this. So let me just remove the rest of the things because I don't need that one. I'm just keeping it with this. What I'm going to do over here, I'm going to use the HTML tag on its own. With this being done, head, you might know that head is basically the header part, and inside that header, whatever title we are going to set, it's going to be displayed in the main browsers. I would say the status bar, or I think the title bar, that would be the right thing to say. So if I can quickly show you, let me just open the real one, the one, okay, this is the one which we are going to refer because this is our website. So you can see over here, catalog dash eShop have been used because we have previously said that. So let's just go to the code and let me try modifying the things one by one. So within the head, we need to set certain meta characters first. Uh, with this meta character set, UTF, we are going to set UTF. The reason for this, we are telling that UTF-8 is going to be used. These are a specific meta related things that might be used by the browser or any search engine that is crawling that page. So you can just have this, and even you do not need to do it again. For the sake of having clarity on each and every detail, I am trying to replicate it, but there is no need. Most of the time, I think 99.9% out of 100, you might need not to know this and not even need to replicate it. But just bear with me, and like couple of minutes or hours spent on these things would really help you in your career and build a very strong baseline. So take your time for for this time, and hopefully it will help. And we are going to use the meta viewport, and we are just setting the viewport is basically for any responsive layouts where we are going to have our app being rendered on a specific devices. So setting a viewport and giving some information about that will really help us. And this is going to be width, which is going to be width is equals to device width. And what else we need to do? We need to have uh, initial scale, which is going to be 1.0. And this way we are going to close it. And let me just quickly refer to the thing which we have with us because we have copied this. So for the sake of missing anything, I'm just copying it from here. And this way we don't mess up anything. So you can see the meta name is there, the content with initial scaling, each and everything is there. So with this being done, let's just move to the title part. We were like dynamically changing the title. So within the title, what we are going to do, we are going to add view data at the rate. Let me just copy this, rather than just let me just data. And what we are going to use over here, you might recall that we have set a title in our views. So title is going to be set along with the eShop because we have named our application eShop CKC. The title is going to be closed and head is still there. So let's just keep it there. We have our title being set. So this is basically what you can see over here. If I can quickly go to that page over here, you can see catalog dash eShop CKC. So let's just make it caps. So with the title being set, let's move to the environment. One thing which we are going to include over here, and it's not part of the, I would say, existing code, is environment setup. So let me just add the name and I'll quickly show you what it does it mean. We are going to name environment development, and inside that we are going to set up certain things. What actually happens when you are like working on a local setup or trying to develop certain things, so that environment is going to be named develop. But when proceed further, there are staging environment and an actual production or live environment. So usually what we try to do, we keep the like assets which are sort of unminified or non-minified or in a real form. that help us debugging in our local environment. And for the production, we usually minify the files. So quick bandwidth benefit is going to be achieved while using that assets. So let's quickly move forward and you will get to know step by step. So don't worry in case if you missed something, and if you feel that something needs to be added or needs to be clarified further, feel free to leave a comment. So with this being done, link, and what we are going to do, we are trying to add a file. With this link, we are adding a file which is of type style sheet. So you can see the link itself is a style sheet, and what we are going to mention over here, we are going to mention that from where we are going to get our CSS file. So with this, we need to go to libs, and inside the libs folder, there is a bootstrap folder, and inside the bootstrap folder, there is a dist, and inside the dist, there is a CSS. And actually, if you might recall, I have told you that bootstrap framework itself have been added by default. So let's just add the bootstrap.css, and you can see we have included the bootstrap. So this is, if I can quickly show you in the solution explorer, this was the lib part, then this was the bootstrap, then we have a dist over here, inside that we have a CSS, and you can see this was the bootstrap CSS file. So with this being done, we have our file being referenced. Let's add one more this time, and this time this is going to be a side-wide CSS which we are going to add. This is again style sheet, and for the href we are going to add tilde, and again inside that we are going to go for the CSS. This time it's CSS, not inside the library, and we are going to refer to the site.css file. And also we are going to add one more thing, which is a specific thing, and I'll let you know what is the reason. We are going to add asp-append-version true. Okay, so with this asp append version, what we are trying to achieve here, when we usually create a CSS file, what actually happens, the browsers and the different caches cache those files, because these are sort of a static files and usually do not change over time. So a specific cached copy is being created. But what we actually need when we are working locally, we are usually modifying the CSS file very quickly, or at least we are trying with different properties, classes, and rules. So we need a fresh copy of site.css always there. So for this, what we are actually trying to achieve, we are using ASP append version. It do append a version number every time. So what it makes different, like CSS file that is being referenced is always a different one from the previous one, and we will see it in action when we will be looking it in the browser. So without further ado, let's move forward. uh, what else we need to add? We need to add two more files, and which is going to be like a component catalog, and let's just quickly add the CSS file because I want to add it right away. Let's just keep add a folder. Let me just add a new folder. I'm going to name it. Let me just stop this debugging. With this debugging stopped, inside that, let me just try to copy, name it catalog. Okay, so I have already tried creating one. So let me just do one thing. Let me just make this include in our folder, remove this one, and with this catalog file, sorry, folder being there, let me just try to add a new item. This new item, it's going to be a CSS file. So let me just scroll, and we are going to add the style sheet. One style sheet is going to be named against our catalog. So we are going to name it catalog.component.css. And we need one more for our pagination control. So we are going to call that pager. So this, I think let's just call this pager.css. So with these two files being added, let's just make it empty and make this one empty too. We'll be adding content to these files later, but for the time being, let's just keep it there. Let's just add those files, and it's going to be again, I will try to paste some things so you can get the maximum within less time. So with this CSS, inside that we have a catalog, and we are going to refer to the catalog component. And with that catalog component being there, let's just copy and use the pager one as well. So let's just use the pager. And one more thing, let's just add this version thing inside these here as well, because we might be modifying these files down the road. So in our environment for development, we have created these files. I'll showcase another thing to you guys, like this is just one environment. So let me just add the name of the other environment, and we are going to call them staging or production. So if the environment name is staging or production, we are going to use these. So what's the difference over here? Because when we are hosting it on production, we somewhat need a similar CSS, but a modified form. So you can see the style sheet itself, it will remain the style sheet, but instead of referring this bootstrap from our local library, we are going to retrieve it from a CDN. And what does a CDN mean? Basically, it's a content delivery network, and it's usually very fast network. Files are already hosted on the web, and they are cached on different servers as well. So when your user are trying to access those, it's really fast. These are served very fast. So instead of relying on the local thing, we first rely on the CDN. So let's just add that CDN thing. Let me just try to add the CDN thing, and hopefully I might be able to add the right one. We are adding for the Cloudflare CDN. So .com Ajax libraries, and then we are going to add Twitter dash Bootstrap. This framework is by like Twitter, so the name is with that. Where you're trying to use this 4 dash alpha dot 5. I might be modifying this name. This is for the sake of reference I'm adding. There could be a possibility that there might be a small mismatch. So Bootstrap dot minified dot css. One thing you can notice, which is the of most important thing, that this is a minified version. So this file will be a compact file with spaces being removed, and it's not very easy to read. You can read it, but it's not very easy, and you might need to refer to a proper actually structured file to refer to certain elements. So with this being done, quickly move to the other thing which is of importance over here, that is ASP to have a fallback href. And what does it mean? I'll quickly let you know. Fallback is going to be somewhat similar. So I can quickly show you. Let me just write this tilde. We are going to refer to the again library of Bootstrap. I'll try to copy from here and just a quick change. I'll do that. So let me just uh, use this one. Tilde is being there with the library, then Bootstrap, and inside the dist CSS. What we are this time, there might be a minified file as well. So let me just quickly see inside the library Bootstrap. You have the dist. You can see the CSS file itself, but we do not have the Bootstrap minified. But for the time being, let's think that it's there. So instead of using uh, Bootstrap actual file, what we will do, we'll use min.css. With this being done, we need to use asp fallback test class. What's the reason for that? One thing is the source. Over here you can see what actually happens when the application is serving the file. It will first go to this href, and then there is a fallback href. But to decide when to fall back on this href, there are certain conditions which are being assessed using this. So we are going to use test dash class, and it's going to be test class is equals to, inside the class we are going to use sr dash only. This is one of the Bootstrap class that we are going to use. And then inside that we are going to use a property. Property itself is going to be a position. So position, and what is the possible value of that position? Test value, that should be absolute. So what we are trying to achieve over here, we are first going for this, but in case, and for this we are, what we are doing, we are testing that does this file which is being like retrieved do have a class having a property position, and if that position value is absolute, then we think this test pass. But if it fails, we are going to the fallback file over here, which is being served from our local directory inside the root. So hopefully I tried to explain it in much detail. Hopefully you might have like grasped that. So still any confusion, feel free to ask me. So these are certain concepts which will always you'll benefit from these concepts for the rest of your career. So moving further, and somehow behind the scenes a specific JavaScript being injected to test it. So that's beyond the scope of this discussion. So let's move further. Let's move to the next link which we need to add, and that is supposed to be of the site min. So I'll try to expedite this thing by copying this over here. Let's just do, and instead that site we are going to use min.css, site.min.css, and I'm keeping this that way. Moving further, I think we also need, I'm just keeping this as well. Let's just think that minified versions do exist for all these. During our video, we might not be referring to this environment. This is just for the sake of clarity. And once you will be working on a production environment, you will be well aware of what we need to know. So for the time being, think that we are not referring to this. So with this being done, we have completed the environment thing. The head is there. Now we have to move to the body part. Body part is the actual place where our content is going to be rendered. So inside that, we are going to add a header. And for the header, we are going to refer to the nav bar. If you can recall, like we have our CSS. Let me just do one thing. Bootstrap CSS being referenced, it should have provided us with yeah, so it's a start coming showing up. So let's just use nav dash bar. So you can see we are already using the built-in, or I would say but the default Bootstrap framework that have been included. So we are going to use the nav bar. Then we are going to use nav bar is going to be light. We are going to use the nav bar dash light. I think it's not part of this. So am I missing something? Let me just. Okay, so I'm just keeping it for now, and we'll see to it later. And then we have a nav dash bar. Sorry, I'm using a dash and a bar dash, and it's going to be static. Again, this is not showing up in the IntelliSense, so we'll see to it later. So don't worry at this point of time. Headers being there. So basically, inside this header section for the nav bar, we have a static top, and then we are going to add a div inside this. So with this div, we again somewhat on a similar lines, you might have noticed that we have always used the container class for the from the Bootstrap. So that's being like referenced, and inside that again the semantic HTML tag, the article one, which we have used, we are going to use that. So with this being used, we have the article one, and inside that we are going to use a section, and section with the section we are going to use the class again this for call that lg-7. I'll quickly telling you why these three classes we are going to use. Medium, and we are going to use 6 and call access dash 12. Okay, what actually being like done by Bootstrap is basically allow you to have responsive sites. And what does responsive mean? It caters to different screen sizes. Like either you are being on a desktop, or on a laptop, or on a like mobile application or tablet or whatsoever else. So there could be variation or in screen sizes. So if this is going to be served on a large screen, so Bootstrap itself have a definition. Like for Bootstrap 3, it was different, and Bootstrap 4, it's a bit different. So let's assume I'm just giving you a rough numbers. These are not accurate. So let's assume if the resolution is the width is greater than 1000 pixel. So it is going to use the large. If it's going to be less than that, so it might use medium. And if it's too small, like 786 or 768, so it might use this. And what does this 7, 6 or 12 refer to? It's going to use the whole, like out of the way Bootstrap behave. They do have sort of 12 columns. So out of this is going to occupy the whole area. This will be occupying the half, and will occupy a bit greater than the half. So hopefully this clarifies. Let's proceed further. Things will get clarified more once you see it in action. So with this being done, let's just try to add a tag. And this is going to be ASP area, and we are keeping it empty, and ASP dot controller, and controller is because we haven't categorized our controllers into different areas. So for the time being, this is empty. Once we will be doing that, we might be using this. So for the time being, I'm just using it. I can omit that as well, but let it just be there, just to mimic or have a somewhat similar code to the repository that we are referring to. And the action part, this is obviously going to be index one. So with this being done, we need image inside that, and the image source is going to be, again we are referring to the images. So this is going to be the image, and inside that we need a brand.png. So you can see that we do have a brand.png over here, and let's just close that image tag. So with this being done, I'll quickly show you that what changes being reflected on the main page. But let me complete each and everything first, and then we are going to close this section, article and the div and the header, and then we are moving to the actual render part. So we are going to use a render body over here. So what does it mean? Basically, think of this file as a master file and those views as a child. So all the childs or the views are going to get rendered inside this render body. So whenever you are serving any page, all the contents will be taken from this layout .css HTML, which is a shared file, and all the views are getting injected this render body. For the time being, this is enough for that. And let's just move further. So see what we can add. After this section, we are going to include the footer because we have the header, we have our middle body, which is getting rendered using the render body, and we are going to use the footer. Again, we are setting a certain classes on the footer. If you can recall, we are using sort of esh-app-footer class. This will be added once we will be adding our CSS. And with this footer being there, let's just add something further. Let's just add a somewhat similar container class, which you know that we usually use from the Bootstrap. And inside that, we are going to use an article. And for the article, we are going to use the same raw class which we are using. And inside that, we're going to have a section, and section class is going to use all dash sm dash 6. So we are keeping it to this. And let's just use an image over here. And image class is going to be, again, let's just try to use the class name, and we are going to name esh-app-footer-brand. So let's see how it works. And the source which we are going to refer to inside the image file, this is again source is equals to image. We are going to image folder, and inside that there was a brand dark. So on top that was a brand, and today over here we are using brand dark. And let's just close this brand dark, and after this image the section is being closed. So let's just add another section, and this section is going to hold the rest, and we are using the same class. If you can recall that we have used half, and for this we are again using so half of that, sm-6. uh, let's just use the again div is going to be a class of footer class. Let me just copy this app dash footer text. Okay, so this is going to be es dash app dash footer, and this time it's going to be a text. And one more thing we are going to use over here. Over here, we have just used this class because this is going to show a brand, and this is somewhat a text. And what we are trying to do over here, we will be using one more hack of a thing, heading dash. This is going to be dash access. So what does this class actually does? If this is an extra small screen, so there might be a possibility we might not be able to see the text. So what does it do? It hides the text, and this section is not like being displayed. So these are some sort of things which we used to do when we are creating responsive types. Like if we have bigger screens, we can show the text, but if we have very small screens, there are certain pieces or parts we need to omit. So this is the way it's being controlled or handled. With this being done, like inside that we need to use the eShop. So the text basically which we need to use, eShop CCK, all right, reserved. So with this being done, div is already closed, so I don't need to close that section article, and the div and the footer is closed. And beyond that footer, again we need to add one thing. Post footer, we are going to add all the JavaScript file we used to add. So this time, if you can quickly refer on the top, we have included all the CSS file. And once the body is being rendered, so we are going to include the JavaScript file. This help us improvise the page speed. So let's just quickly go to this one, and you might be able to, let me just name this. Again, we are going to refer it to the development one because this is the one we are going to use for. And this time, the instead of the like a style file using the link, rather than link, we are going to use a script this time. So this is sort of a script file, and the source file itself is going to be from, this time it's going from the library. And you can see the library first we are going to refer to is the jQuery, because jQuery is also included, and it's needed for certain other libraries to work. So jQuery, this file, and then we are going to use a simple jQuery, not a minified file, but this is the simple one. So with this being done, the script for jQuery included first, then we need to include the Bootstrap JS file. So let's just add that as well. With this being included, let me just add the library, and inside the library I'm going to use the Bootstrap. In the dist, I need to refer to the JS this time, and Bootstrap JS. So again, we are using any minified version. Okay, so we have our Bootstrap being included. The next thing which we are going to include is the site.js file. Let's just include that. So let's just use tilde. Then we have JS, and we have a site.js. And one thing which we are going to use again, we're on a somewhat similar lines, for the asp-append version, we are going to make it true. The reason we haven't done it for these files, because these files are again cached, because jQuery is not going to change unless we are going to change the jQuery version, and this is Bootstrap is not going to change unless we change the version. But the this site.js file, this is the one where over here the JS which we are going to write is getting included. So this should be modified every time, so we get a fresh copy of all the scripts. So with this being done, the environment is being there. Let's just add the other environments so we can quickly see how we can fall back on those environments. So with this environment, let's just add the name, and with the name being there, let's just use the staging and the production. And with the production being added, let's just use the script. We are going to use the source over here for the script, and the source is again from a specific CDN content delivery network. So I'm just trying to copy some. I might be missing something, so for the time being, let me just try to copy it and see if it works or not. So it's a ASP.NET CDN network from where we are going to serve in Ajax, and the jQuery is being served from there. Which jQuery version we are serving, which we are going to serve jQuery dash 2.2.0.minified.js. And then again, on a similar lines, we were having asp-fallback source. So fallback source is somewhat the one which we already have with us. So let's just use the one we have with us. I don't know why it's not picking up. So I'll try to see if something is being mixed out. Environment is being there. Okay. Some name is being there, and what else is there? Script is there. Okay, so let me just do one thing. Let's try to do it this way, and hopefully this time this might work. Okay, no worries. So if it's not working, so let's just try to refer to the actual library which we are going to access. And inside our libraries, there is a jQuery library. If I can quickly show you over here. So we need to use this jQuery, and inside the jQuery, we have a dist, and they have a dist, and then we have a JS or jQuery, sorry, jQuery.js. Hopefully I have copied the right one. And there are a couple of other tags, so let's just add. And what else I need to do, there needs to be a fallback test as well. Fallback test is going to be done using window.jQuery. So what does it mean? Let me just, if this file is being served, this test will verify using this if it's working, and if it's not working, then it will be loading this file. So with this being said, let's just move further. The script have been closed for this. What else we need to add? We need to add the bootstrap one as well. So on a similar lines, let me just try to copy to paste it up, and let's just use this script. Uh, uh, I'm just leaving this rather than typing each and everything right now. Let's just CDN for bootstrap. Okay, and then over here I will be using the library, and instead of this jQuery I'll be using bootstrap. Strap within the bootstrap. If I can quickly show you the dist, and what else was there? There was a JS inside and bootstrap. So dist, then JS, then bootstrap. Hopefully this will work. And the main thing that we need to look to the sources there, we need to look into the sort of test we are going to use for the this JS. So first it will check for the window.jQuery. In addition to that, what it needs to check, it's need to check window.jQuery dot function. And there's one more thing it needs to verify. It needs to verify dot jQuery dot function dot model. So with this being, with this test, it will verify if the jQuery is being loaded or not. So let me just do one thing, keep it this way so I can replace it later. So with this being done, the scripts are there. I think I'm just missing one script, and let me just use this one. Let me just do it quickly to save time. And let's just add this over here. So think of this as a side dot minified version. I'm keeping this because every time we are going to deploy a new build, a new version will be deployed for this. So scripts are being completed over there, and with this scripts being there, what we need to do after this environment, we need to have a render section. Render section, and this is going to be for scripts. I'll quickly tell you what's the reason for that. It's going to be required false. And okay, so you can quickly see this render body itself is rendering the view, but there is a possibility like these views itself are injecting some JavaScript. So they can use a script section inside them, and all those JavaScripts will be rendered over here in this rendered section. So this way, your JavaScript is not cluttered. All the views JavaScript will be injected over here, and with this script section, we are going to use this. And what does this false means? Like all views are not required to inject any script code. If we make it to true, so then on compile time, if our views are not having the same script section, so it will start throwing error. So usually we keep it false where needed we can use it, and where not we can omit it. So with this being done, let's see if it's done correctly. Try to somehow run it and let's see what's happening. And something have been loaded. Let's see within the network or console if there is any error. So some files, it is trying to load the minified version. So seems like there is an issue. It's not referring to the development environment. So let me just quickly see to it. Okay, one thing I've done incorrect. Basically, it should be names, not the name. And same for over here. It should be names. I should have used the warning from IntelliSense, but I haven't. I've missed that. So it should have referred to that. Let's see if it works now. Let's see how it behaves now. I expect something good is going to happen now. I don't know. Okay, still like there is something being missed. So let me just try to refer it. Okay, this time there is no console error, but it's still not very convincing thing to have any header. Okay, one thing you might have noticed, it starts showing eShop container instead of the default ASP.NET thing. So change have been there, but as the styles are not there, that's the reason we are feeling it that way. Even our footer is being changed to eShop all right reserved. And one thing, if I can quickly show you, like if it's working perfectly fine or not. With this being there, we can switch the toggle device toolbar and try scrolling certain things. So we have things over here. These have been shaped in a way like it's using just one. If I quickly go to, okay. So with this being said, this is the time to refer to our CSS file now. So what I'm going to do right now, instead of writing each and everything in the CSS file, I'll be pulling up the CSS file in a different manner. And then I'll be quickly telling you what's the reason for each and specific CSS rule. So let me just copy those CSS files. Okay, so I have copied the files, but this time you can see all the CSS rules have been commented out. There is a particular reasoning I've done it that way. When we are going to use our file, I'll be quickly showcasing this to you in a very interactive mode, that you get to know why each and every style have been used. So you can see we have our catalog component being there, we have our pager file being there. So let's just try to run it once again. So you can see nothing have been applied, but let me quickly see if the classes are being tagged or not, because what I am more concerned over here is any specific class being applied or not, and we are able to see those classes or not. So let's just go to this header first. So this was the first thing you can see over here. The ESH catalog class is being applied, but as I have done everything in a manner where everything is commented out, so obviously it's not going to show up. So let's start with the header first. Let's just quickly go to the header. Uh, Let me just close this header. And okay, this section itself is the banner section. So you can see like ESH-catalog hero class, which we have included in our code, do have a CSS rule with a background image. So let me just enable that, and you can start seeing that there is an image which is coming from our image assets is start showing up. You can see the main banner file is being there, and there is another property which is background size cover. So with this you can see the image is getting like properly placed in a manner where it occupies the whole space. So you can see even if the image was a bit big, using cover help it align properly. And if I set a specific width, so it also keeps it that way. I'll try to do one more thing. Hopefully it doesn't remove my CSS. Let's just toggle. So you can see the image is being there and it's still there. One thing more we can do is hide. Changing the height will do one thing. If I'm over here, I'm using a 20 pixel. So what does it do? The effect that was being like applied using the cover is not effective anymore. Certain piece of the image is being cut. So I have tried doing it in a different way. Like I can use 10% of the view port. So this way, I think I'm using it wrong or right, don't know. So you can see over here. So if I keep adding this to an extent, it stays there. So I can like go with the 10. So I can go this way as well. This is just to showcase you. The main the crux of this course and the learning is that you get to know how things are getting applied. So for the time being, let's just stay till here for this ESH hero catalog class, which is going to apply a banner. Then we are moving further. Container itself is a class being applied by Bootstrap, but no need for that. In the image, you can see we have a ESH catalog title. So there is an image banner. The t-shirt one is getting applied. So you can see it do have a position relative. So I'm applying relative position and I'm applying top. So you can see the t-shirts, all t-shirts on sale have been moved from top to down. And I think on a somewhat similar line, I might need to change the height for this as well. Height initially was being referred as I think 250 pixels or something more than that. Let me just do that way rather than tying my thing. So at least we get to have a right feeling of what we are trying to achieve. So let's just keep that way. And moving to the title. So you can see the a position relative have been applied and a top have been applied. So what is it's doing? It's doing it with the parent control. Like with this section or the container, the position is applied relative. If I try to do it absolute, it would be done in a different manner. You can see it's been shifted on top. So think of relative as something like it's on the same uh, place, but not letting the other to use its position. Hopefully this will clarify further in other example, but for the time being, we are applying a relative position. With this being applied, let's just move further and see there are filters. You can see the filters are there and filter have a background color. So if I apply that background color, you can see the lookable field have been there and a specific height. We are going to apply the height over here as well. Then we move further. So inside our form, we have applied a label class as well. So I will be going to the label class, and in the label class, we are going to display it inline block. So let's just change it to inline block, and the position is going to be relative and zero index is 0. So currently you can see the label which is going to be shown inside. There is a particular reason the label is not getting shown. I'll quickly tell you once we apply all these CSS. So because the label is being used using a before property and there is a data tyler attribute calling the brand. This should have been picked at the time of rendering the page, but our CSS was not particularly applied at that point of time. That's the reason before is not applied. No worries. Let's move further and we will see the effect later. So we just came here that it's the filter, like filter means the drop down, which we are like looking at. So we have a background property, background color property, which we have set. So you can see now it's well aligned with the actual background color. and we are going to apply a border color. So you can see the border color have been changed from somewhat different to a somewhat a similar color, and we are going to change the color. You can see it was black initially, so color we have applied a white color. Then we are changing the cursor to pointer. Currently you can see if I hover, you can see this one, and if I change it to pointer, you can see it makes it a sort of a clickable one. So it gives the user a feel that we can click it up. So with this being done, the cursor is being there. Then we have the margin right. So you can see margin right is adding some margin on the right side of that specific select. And you can see one more thing, it says 1 rem. So what does rem means? Initially we were looking at the pixels. rem means root em. So what does root em means? Usually when like a browser displays the content, there is sort of a default em size, and that is something like 16 pixels. So based on those, the font is assumed that 16 is the base em, 16 like pixel. And if we start reducing the em, so it will be reduced according to the default size. So if I do it 0.5 em, it is going to be around 8 pixel. And if I'm going to do it to rem, it is going to be 30 pixel. So I hope I'm recalling it right. It is going to be 16 pixel, or it might be 32, but whatever the like default size is, think of it as a percentage. We have set it 1 rem means we have set it to the default, and if when we are going to use it 0.5 or 0.25, it is going to get reduced in a similar way. So with this being applied, I can quickly show you the margin top. So margin top is being enabled. Then we are going to use the outline color. So outline color being changed, padding bottom have been changed, padding top have been changed, padding right, sorry, padding left and padding top, bottom. And then we have a minimum width. So when I'm going to apply the minimum width, you can see at least it is going to be 140 pixel. And one more thing, we are going to apply WebKit appearance none. So you can see the like icons have been like removed. So WebKit appearance says like there are specific default behavior of browsers which they apply on their own. So to keep it consistent, like have our styles being applied in a same manner on either Chrome or Safari, so or Edge. So we use this web kit dash appearance none. So the reason I've named these three browsers, because Firefox is using a different theme. So there is one more additional CSS rule for that. We will be discussing it later. So for the time being, stay with me till here, and let's just move. If we have any other classes being included with this select being applied and the label, and let's just see if this class have been applied. Then we have the input. Okay, so we have a catalog. So catalog send on the input button, we have a class ESH catalog send. We are going to change the background color for this, so you can see it's a bit more visible right now, and the color itself is going to be changed to this one. And if I can hover, you can see I'm going to change it to pointer. So this is again pointer. Now for the font size, I'm changing. For the transparency, sorry, for the transform, I'm going to translate y to 0.5 rm. What does it mean? It's just places it uh, to a specific location, like it translate y. So with this being done, padding being applied. So I have applied the padding and the transitioning. Transition means when this change or transform is going to occur, like when this is going to get shifted on hover effect or any effect. So all the transitions that we are going to see are getting affected over a period of time. Like if someone hovers or something, so whatever the transition is going to occur, it's over a span of 3.35 seconds, rather than giving a very abrupt look and feel. So this is the reason it's being there. So with this being applied, let's move further. And what else we have missed? So let me just see if I have something else over here. Okay, let's go to the container class ESH pager. Pager class itself does not exist, so let's just leave it for now. ESH catalog item class being applied, so you can see a margin top being applied. Inside that we have a catalog item. So I'm trying to pace up things, so in case something is being missed out, feel free to ask it in the comment. So with this catalog being applied, you can see that I'm shifting the text line to the center, and then the margin bottom is being applied, and a proper width of 33%. The reason is that because we are going to render 3 columns, and the display in block being properly applied, and a float none is being applied. With this being applied, let's just move forward inside this, see if there is something that needs to be looked into. Okay, there is a thumbnail image having a max width. We are going to set that. And further, there is disabled. This is going to show the opacity, and events are not going. So you can see this time if I change it, if I do this way, this was sort of clickable. But when I apply this, this is not clickable. So on this button, we have applied a opacity as well as a pointer event none, which make it disable and user can't interact with it. So with this being done, we are going to change the catalog name. I'm trying to skip certain things because these are very easily defined. So font size, we have changed the margin top, text align being changed, text transform. You can see one thing, all the text have been changed to uppercase using the CSS. So rather than doing it at the using any backend language, so we have changed this transform to uppercase. So let's see, is there any other possibility? Is there a capitalize? So you can do it that way. And for uppercase, let's just keep it uppercase. And let's just move further. So quickly we can wrap up our video. We, I think, have already passed 40 minutes. One thing, price needs to be centered, font weight and a font size being applied. There is one piece missing, like dollar is not applied prior to this. The reason for that, a before is used in our class. So I will quickly letting you know what was the reason for that. And with this being done, the input are hidden, so there are no classes going to be applied on those. And so let me just close this form and see if something has been missed out. And what else? So all these items being there, pages do have a container, and wrapper class ESH pager wrapper. The pager wrapper, if I can refer to the paging one, so you can see pagination itself is getting a bit well aligned. Text align is going to center, so it's starting showing up here. Inside that, let's see inside the nav, there is a class. So you can see this start hiding up because the is disabled is being applied over here. And one thing, if I completely show you, this is clickable as of now. But if I change the pointer events to none, now you can't click it. So with this class, we are controlling the interaction of this. With this being done, let's just see ESH page item. So you can see the next have been moved a bit further. And what else? The ESH pager item navigable. So let's just try applying this. You can see something is happening to the next one. Let's just click this one. So this is changed. The cursor is changed to pointer. So it's clickable now. And what else we can modify? Let's just move to the rest of the things. We have already reached the footer, and there is no class, no article is there, and there is no class. So okay, so for the time being, let me just do one thing, try commenting all, uncommenting all what I have commented. So let me just quickly do, rather than doing it one by one to save the time. Okay, so I have changed everything. or I meant to say, like, I've uncommented everything. So let's just try to run again and see what is happening. So with this being done, let's just see what is going to pop up. So for the very first time, we can see a very appealing and good interface. So from a very scratch thing, we have reached so far that we are able to see the eShop application. We have done the backend thing, we have done the database thing, we have the controller services, and now we are very well capable of doing and achieving the front end thing as well. And I hope that you guys have learned a lot regarding the CSS thing as well. So with this being done, you can see things that have been properly applied, the theme have been applied, and we can navigate our product as well. We go to the previous one as well. And one thing which I was showing to you, a dollar being applied. So let's just quickly see one thing, a couple of things which I have discussed with you guys. So I'll quickly help you grasp those. What I was referring to, like for jQuery and the Bootstrap, we haven't uses the ASP version sort of, I would say, the property or the tag. So, but over here, you can see a version being generated and appended to our JS. So this will keep our JS always being loaded every time when we are doing it. And the same goes for the rest of the things. One more thing I'm going to show you over here. You can see there's a dollar being applied. So what does actually mean? Like there is a before class being applied. If I can quickly go and show you, I think it was part of catalog component. So you can see in the ES catalog price, there is a before uh, attribute being applied. So with this class before, what actually happens with before or after, all the contents which are part of this being applied before the content of this class. So if I can quickly show you, this class itself, you have a span which is showing 19.5, and it's being applied before that, and inside that there is a content. If I can quickly show the change the content to something, let's see if it works or not. So you can see right away it's been changed to rupees instead of going staying on the dollar. So that was one thing which we have touched, and let me quickly show you if something else needs to be shown to you. I think, yeah, one thing are the media queries. So if we apply, let's say if we have a width more than this, so you can see that three columns being displayed. But if I can switch to this one, you can see only this one is getting applied. And if I can quickly move to the new page, so this way only one element is getting displayed. If I start moving further, you can see this time the two have been like contents or item are getting shown. And this way, if I keep stretching it, so I should have gone down, so you can, yeah, this way, so you can see instead of two, there are three columns started showing up. And if I quickly go to this device and the one, okay, this way you can get a quick feeler how things are working. And I tried to capture most of the thing. Let me just quickly, if something has been missed out from a pager perspective, let me quickly see these disable events, which I've already told you. And what else? Okay, so far I think I've achieved most of the things. So just give me a minute. Okay, so thank you everyone. Thanks for watching, and hopefully you might have found this useful. That this video gets a bit long. Usually I used to target videos around like 30 minutes, but when I'm trying to explain each and everything in detail, it usually get a bit longer. So apologies for that, but hopefully you are learning along the way, and you are finding these videos useful. So if you find these videos useful, feel free to like and subscribe the channel. And if there is something that needs to be asked, or if you have any clarity, if you needs any clarity, feel free to ask me. I'll post another follow-up videos on those. And if there are any certain topics which you would like to hear about in .NET space or anything, so feel free to leave in the comments as well. I hope you are learning these things. One more thing which I'm doing on a regular basis, I'm pushing the code on the same repo link. You can find it in the description. So you will find the code in the repo as well, and you will be able to see this video and other videos as well, part of the playlist. So keep learning, keep improving, and try to get a better software engineer. So thank you for watching. Bye. Have a nice day.